On the line with us is Ellie Krug, an attorney, founder and president of Human Inspiration Works, LLC, the author of Getting to Ellen, a memoir about love, honesty, and gender change. Ellie Krug, ELLIEKRUG.com is her website. Ellie Krug, Twitter handle. Ellie is also a colleague of mine in talk radio, does a program, Ellie 2.0 Radio, on the affiliate that is carrying this program right now, KTNF AM 950 in the Twin Cities. And check out her show if you're in the Minneapolis St. Paul area. You probably heard it, and it's remarkable. And Ellie, welcome to the program.
Hey Tom, thank you for having me, and thanks for the kind words about my radio program.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's great having you on. I see you when it's been a while, the pandemic and everything since I've been to Minneapolis, but. So it's been a while since we've seen each other in person, but it's great having you on the program. You wrote this piece titled "A Transgender Woman's Rage" that I thought was particularly brilliant. I know I'm not sure if or where you've published it, but if you could just kind of summarize this for our audience, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, the piece hasn't gotten published yet. I'm shopping it still, but what the piece is about is of course I'm transgender, and we should, Tom, I need to make a couple of notes. One is that I'm an elected official out here in Minnesota, and I got to make sure that everyone understands I'm talking as Ellie Krug and not as an elected official. And the second thing is, for your listeners, right now they're hearing a man's voice, like a deep man's voice, and thinking I'm 6'5", 285 pounds, and I'm actually size 4, and I think look not too bad as a chick.
I agree.
And so thanks. What the piece is about is really about what's going on in America right now. I mean, right as I speak right now, somewhere between 350 and 400 bills have been introduced in at least 39 states, trying to enact laws to marginalize and erase transgender people in a variety of settings. And we have 18 states, that have enacted bans preventing transgender kids, mainly transgender girls, from participating in sports from kindergarten all the way through senior year college. There are 4 states right now that either have or are working to prohibit adults on Medicaid from getting any kind of gender affirming care. And as I speak to you right now, there are at least 7 to 8 states, and by the end of the legislative season, I am sure there'll be at least a dozen states that have banned gender affirming care for transgender kids and youth. There are also right now 3 states that are working on passing laws to prevent me, Ellie Krug, an adult transgender woman, from being able to use the women's restroom in their states. So all of this is coming down, attacking my community, which is essentially defenseless. There are, official estimates say there are only 1.6 million transgender people in America. I think the number is actually much higher, but nonetheless, we don't have an ACT UP that gay men had in the 1980s. We don't have a Black Panthers party that show up at a state house, brandishing long guns. That was legal under California law, and a wake-up call to the California legislature. We don't have anything to protect us. And Tom, you remember in 2016, don't you recall the big uproar over the bathroom bill in North Carolina? Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, I remember it well.
Do you remember the America just being outraged about that? They lost some of the NCAA games, concerts were canceled, businesses decided not to relocate to North Carolina. It was warming my heart that people would step up, who weren't transgender, but try to protect my community. And what's happened since then, Tom, law after law after law passed, and people are fatigued, and it's just gotten to the point where another state has done that to transgender people. Oh, well, hey, can you pass the salt? I mean, that's really what has occurred in America right now.
I published an op-ed a week and a half ago I was shocked to discover, and I should have remembered this. Years ago, back in the 80s when I lived in Germany, I read The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich. But what I hadn't realized until recently was that the Nazis first came for the transgender people. That was their first target. I mean, literally within 2 weeks of Adolf Hitler taking office. And Kristallnacht was like 5 years into his administration.
Right.
But this was immediate, and I see the exact same thing happening right here in the United States right now, which is that the fascists are starting with trans people, and I believe the reason why is what you just pointed out, Ellie, that trans people, of all the various minorities out there that you can choose to pick on, trans people are probably one of the very smallest and least well-funded and minorities that lack an infrastructure. I mean, there's not even like a church infrastructure. If you wanted to, like if somebody wanted to go after Sikhs or after Seventh-day Adventists or something, they at least have an infrastructure that they can use to defend themselves. To the best of my knowledge, there's no such thing or not of any consequence for trans people in this country. And fascists are essentially bullies. And bullies always go for the weakest first. And then they start working their way up to the food chain until everybody's afraid of them, and then they take over everything. And I just see this as a flare in the sky in the night, as a huge warning. These anti-trans attacks. What say you?
Well, I mean, the messaging, okay, from legislature after legislature is that trans people are lesser, that we don't deserve equal rights. And in a court to some commentators like Michael J. Knowles, transgenderism should be totally eradicated from society. And my question is, how can you erase transgenderism, which actually isn't even a word? How can you erase that without erasing people?
Right. Well, can you imagine if he had said we need to end Judaism in this country, erase Judaism in this country?
Yeah, right. People would be, but Thom,
We've seen
again,
this movie before.
Where's the outrage in America? Where are all our allies? Where are all the businesses? Where are all the leaders? We lack a charismatic leader who could be on the news night after night, pounding away for our protection. We just don't have that. But Thom, can I also tell you one other thing? Okay, you talk about the fascists. My work generally is to go across America and train on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and to talk about, the values of compassion. Thom, for all of the bad that's going on right now, what I have found is that when people get to know transgender people, they just come to view us as just anybody else.
Right.
And I am living proof of that. As you know, I live in Minnesota, which of course is a wonderful place because of all the protections I have. But I live in a red to purple county that went for Trump by 6 points. I can get in my car and drive a half a mile, and I got Trump flags,
Sure.
farm after farm after farm. All right. But yet in this county, I ran for the local school board last fall. I was one of 12 candidates vying for 4 seats. And except for at the end of the campaign when there was an attack video put out about me, but we went almost 3 months without anybody making any point about me being transgender. Now this in a red to purple county. And then I got elected, to the school board. And on top of that, I'm the president of the HOA. I'm involved in the community in a variety of ways, and people just treat me normal. And the point I want to make here on the show is, if we can get past those who have power, those who have never even met a transgender person, if we can get past those marginalizers, those who are intolerant, maybe those who are even haters, if we can get past them and just talk to ordinary people, they're going to find that transgender people, just like everybody else. Yes, my voice does not match my appearance. I get that, okay? But people adjust to it,
Sure.
Once they become familiar with me or other people who don't fit in because, of the appearance or whatever, but once they adjust, it's like, hey, it's just Ellie Krug. You know,
Right.
I like her. You know, and so I have hope in that regard. But we've got to get there because America's not speaking up to protect us.
We're speaking with Ellie Krug, who author of the book Getting to Ellen, a memoir of love, honesty, and gender change, the founder and president of Human Inspiration Works, and who also does a program on these topics and others on AM 950, our affiliate in the Twin Cities. Ellie, we're coming up against a break here in about a minute, but I'm wondering if I mean the male gay community and the female lesbian community both have fairly sophisticated levels of internal organization. I mean, it's nothing close to like the Catholic Church or something, but or even the right-wing evangelicals. Are they leaving the trans community behind, or are they, out of fear of engaging in wars that they might not be able to win, or are you finding not, obviously I think you all need as many straight allies as possible, and I am proud to be one. But I'm wondering about the institutional power that is within some of these organizations that are specifically, or at least originally, for gay men or lesbian women.
Historically, there's been a chasm between gay and lesbian communities and the trans communities. However, the Human Rights Campaign has made a very, the largest LGBTQ plus advocacy organization in the country. They've made a determined effort to be supportive of trans people. I think that generally, gay and lesbian folks are allies and are supportive of trans folks, but they've already fought the battle,
right.
And we have a different battle.
Yeah. Well, Ellie, I wish you the very best, and thank you so much for dropping by our program today and sharing your story with us.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. An honor, in fact. Ellie Krug, attorney, founder, and president of Human Inspiration Works, author of Getting to Ellen, at Ellie Krug, ELLIEKRUG on Twitter. Thank you, Ellie.